Hi, we're reading the story and we are on page 56. Okay, so we were at the point where the Israelites were complaining in the desert, in the wilderness, and they said, why did you bring us out here to die, even though he had brought them safely through the Red Sea, he had given them water. They were still not believing, and now he's given them quail and also manna. And manna means, Cal?
What is it?
Good. So we're at the end of this chapter. The people called these honey-tasting crackers manna, which sounds like, what is it? They all received exactly as much as they needed for each day. On the 6th day of the week, they gathered a double portion, for no manna fell on the 7th day, the holy day set apart for rest and worship. And so the people learned to trust God. Oh, I remember, we talked about that already. Day by day, and to lead them to a new land. And then it says, well, not quite. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, maybe? But there was no water for the people to drink, so they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." A little demanding.
I know.
Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put your Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" So it's the same thing basically they said before. So every time they hit a bump in the road, instead of doing what should they do?
Ask God.
Ask God. They complain and cry out. And unfortunately, we do that a lot too. Every time something comes up that's not easy going, we complain about it, we grumble about it, instead of just talking to the Lord about it. The Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled, and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" All right, that was the end of chapter 4. We're moving on to chapter 5, which starts on page 49, and it's called New Commands and a New Covenant. I guess we'll start here and we'll read a little bit. But this gives a little timeline, which I like. It says, in 1445 before Christ, there were the 10 Commandments, Moses on Mount Sinai, Aaron and the golden calf, and the building of the tabernacle. See the full timeline here. Full timeline. A full timeline. So we are in the New Commandments and the New Covenant. So we've gone from creation, which was somewhere before 2100 years before Christ, and then Noah and the flood, and Abraham around 2166. Then we moved to God building a nation through Abraham from about 2090, all the way going from Isaac to Jacob and Esau, and Rachel giving birth to Joseph, and then Isaac dying in the 1800s before Christ. That is
1800s?
Before Christ. 1800 years before Christ. Joseph, then we're moving on to Joseph in Egypt in the 1800s. Now remember, we're counting down, so we're getting closer and closer to 1800. Then Moses born in Egypt around in the 1500s, God sending the plague, moving into the 1400s, then moving into the wilderness into the 1400s, and then Moses receiving the 10 Commandments is where we are now. So on the first day of the 3rd month, after the Israelites left Egypt, on that very day they came to the desert of Sinai.
It's been exactly 1 year.
Has it? I didn't know that. After they set